All right, welcome to Creative Experiences. This is the virtual field trip / case study assignment. So I'm actually very excited about this just because after kind of looking at everything and doing the research and getting everything together, I realized this is actually a really cool, fun, extremely interactive way to get kids to feel like they are traveling. Traveling is such an important thing to me in my life, so getting kids to feel like they're doing it too is just amazing. So first things first, this is a 3-part assignment. So we're gonna have part 1, 2, and 3, but they're kind of all gonna run together. There was no template for this, so we were told to just kind of do it however we see it. So I'm just gonna make one video with all 3 parts in it, but this virtual field trip is going to be sectioned around 2nd grade students, and we are going to go to the Statue of Liberty. I feel like that's just a great, easy starting history lesson, for kids to see something that some adults don't even get to see in their lifetime. I have never even been to the Statue of Liberty, so that's why I picked it, so I could learn some things too. So starting off with the first part, case study number 1 with the virtual field trip. We're going to New York Harbor. We've got the Statue of Liberty. Now, the theme around this is going to be what the Statue of Liberty actually represents, which is the American symbols, as well as freedom. And freedom is probably going to be the biggest part of this. So the whole purpose of this is just that students get to explore the Statue of Liberty, to understand its historical importance as a symbol of freedom and as well as hope to the United States. So there were a few things that I found. Now, this was found through the link that was given to us in class in October. Now, these are it's the same website, but the National Park Service website, they have 2 different parts of their website. They have a Statue of Liberty virtual tour, so that's including videos, panoramas, kid-friendly facts as well, and then as well as the Ellis Island Kids virtual tour. That's going to be centered around learning more about the immigrant journeys and Liberty Island's history as well. So I feel like the first part of this, first part of the case assignment or case study is going to be just kind of explaining what's going to happen during this, or kind of like me as the teacher's thought process with how this is going to go. So we're going to have a couple of activities to go along with the virtual tour as well. So we're going to begin with a short introduction video of Lady Liberty. The students are going to explore a virtual tour link with teacher guidance, which we'll go over later. And there's going to be a big class discussion with a mix of activities for them to do, as well as team collaborative talking and discussion. But the main question of our class discussion is going to be, why do you think people see the Statue of Liberty as a symbol of freedom? And we're going to have a turn and talk partner share after the tour. So our learning focuses are going to be a lot of understanding national symbols, building curiosity about history and landmarks, as well as making connections between the past and the present. So that was the first part. Moving on to case study number 2 with loose parts learning. So this is also kind of going to be, a little preview. But loose parts, they help students create, problem solve, collaborating, and especially in this specific scenario, we're exploring history by building models and role-playing immigrant journeys, which is, eventually, again, going to lead to their interactive assignments. So now we have a couple of things here with personality traits and kind of how loose parts will support it. So we're going to see, as far as students taking risks, we're going to have the students design boats. So we're going to have them create their own little boats and experiment with stability, talking about the risks that immigrants took to come over the harbor, or just, what people see every day if they live there. kind of something like that, exploring stability. Determination and resilience, we're going to be rebuilding models. We're going to talk about that. So, there might be some great use here for Legos or blocks or something like that, or wood or some kind of loose part that's just kind of laying around the classroom. But we're going to be trying to rebuild models if they fall over. Now, I was thinking about this, and I kind of thought that Jenga would actually be a great way to do this. Maybe do this the day before the virtual field trip to kind of get them thinking already about balance and stability, and what happens if just one piece of a structure is missing. That could make the whole thing fall apart. Same thing for aircrafts, boats, cars. Even projects, like if students are making a project for science class, if they don't have every working part, the whole thing is going to collapse or not work, which is a great, little side bonus lesson in this as well. Another trait, we're talking about independence and confidence. We're going to explore with making design decisions independently. So, we could have a group game of something like Jenga, or we could have an independent thing where each student on their own is gonna, try to stack some things and make their own little structures, and or maybe talking about how they can kind of design something like that on their own without the inputs of others. That's going to teach kids, as well as another little side bonus lesson, that they can do things on their own, and that you don't always need input from your peers. There are things that you can decide on your own as well. So self-confidence as well. Relationships and leadership, we're going to also work in pairs or groups to build our own little Liberty Island as well. And then we're moving on to loose parts examples. Like I said earlier, blocks or Legos, recyclables, we're going to use those to build our Statue of Liberty or build the boats on the harbor. Fabric, like blue fabric, can represent the ocean. That would be kind of cool. You can use little small little figures, like people figures, maybe the little green army men that are always in different kinds of media. Those can represent the immigrants that are arriving, as well as like green colored, like what are those called? Pipe cleaners. They can be the tiny little brushes or foil that can actually be used to make the Statue of Liberty's crown or her torch, making replicas of the crowns and the torches. Now, we're also going to be discussing some of the different standards aligned with the virtual field trip. So we've got social studies, language arts, science, and math. Now, social studies, again, this is for second grade, so we don't want to make it too complicated. But as far as recognizing the so for social studies, we're going to recognize the U.S. national symbols and monuments. Now that's going to connect just by learning the Statue of Liberty's meaning. And again, that does represent freedom, so we're going to learn that. Language arts, we're going to ask and answer questions about the informational text as well. And that's going to be connected to that by having guided questions during the virtual tour. This can be by the teacher or by the student, depending on, the student, but that will probably be a group-led discussion as well. Science, we're going to observe and discuss materials that are used for structures, and then, kind of lead into that. So we can also connect that by discussing copper, the torch flame, the island geography, things like that. And then finally, math. We're measuring and comparing lengths and sizes of these structures, and we're connecting to that by comparing the statue height to the classroom objects or students. That actually might be fun to have maybe two students take a measurer or just kind of measure the student's height and compare that to the Statue of Liberty. So, a second grader might be 4 feet tall and the Statue of Liberty is over 300 feet tall. Just kind of, having the kids compare in their heads to realize how big the Statue of Liberty is, which is a great way to infiltrate that imagination, just because, you know, we're not actually there in person. So a lot of times you can't really get a full perspective of how big something is unless you're really there right in front of it. So that will definitely help with that. So moving on to case study number 3, turning the trip into classroom experiences. Now this can also be in an indoor or an outdoor learning center as well. So with a couple of things here, we've got, again, a couple different stations that we're going to be doing. So with science is really easy in this, and one thing I'm personally excited about is the exploring like copper oxidation, because the statue is made out of copper. So, you know, we'll give each student a penny. We'll kind of discover how that turns green. So why the Statue of Liberty is green, because a lot of people, especially children, don't realize or don't know that the Statue of Liberty actually used to be brown, shiny copper. It was not always green. So why is it green now? That'll be a good science lesson. Dramatic play, which this is going to be what we've kind of got to base the whole thing around, because we have to have a way to keep the students' attention. These kids are 7 and 8 years old. They have very short attention spans. So dramatic play will be a big thing. I'm going to call it the Ellis Island inspection station, you know, sort of, kind of. So that'll be a great dramatic play station for role playing, acting like immigrants, you know, that we're going to get their own stamps or like little pretend passports. Maybe I can either make them beforehand or they can make them. You know, that's also a great way to practice writing as well and reading. We've also got the engineering side of things. So we're going to build a Statue of Liberty models with loose parts like we discovered earlier. And then there's also going to be another station for reading and writing. So I'll explain that in a minute. We're going to have some art incorporated in there, making our own torches and crafts, as well as a sensory bin. So as feeling, we could have some water beads, some blue water beads, and the boats that we make, that can be the harbor station. So as said before, our materials, we're going to have a couple things, but we will be using loose parts, recyclables, pennies, vinegar, salt, green construction paper or foil, or little pipe cleaners or something like that. You know, things to decorate, crayons, colored pencils, and I think a really great thing would be to either have a world map or a globe, so we can look at the whole country and see just one little spot where the Statue of Liberty is. So that will definitely be a good thing for students to rotate those stations, interact, act like they're traveling immigrants, arriving in the past. You know, time travel sometimes can be a really fun thing for kids to have dramatic play situations with. So that will be that. So what we are going to do is I'm going to actually go into the next part. This will be the end of this video. This is the, you know, going over all the criteria for teachers' thought process for this kind of planning of this sort of assignment. So next video will be the actual video that the kids will watch through the assignment.